Whoa! Greetings, fellow makers. Welcome to Prop Live, your weekly prop and costume making Q&A session. Live from the living room today, and the crazy cats, just crazy cats. There's another one around here going nuts. Doing things a little bit differently today, as you can tell. I'm looking super serious because prop making is serious business. And speaking of business, today we're going to be answering not just prop and costume making questions. We may get a couple of those, but mostly we're focusing on running a business with your creative talent, right? So basically, any questions that you guys have about running any kind of business, part-time, full-time, whatever, or just trying to make money in general, using your creative talent and the internet, that's what we're talking about today. And we have a pile of questions already. If you want to submit yours and you're watching live, go to punishprops.com/live. You can submit your questions there. I'm ready to go here. I got my business tie. I got my new business glasses. I've got my business mug here. With soda in it, I promise. I got business cat. He's ready to roll. He's ready to take your questions. Kagar Prop says, a tie. So fancy. That's right. Fancy tie. What else do we have here? Oh, one giant thing that I haven't really been talking about, but I have to now because we got it in the mail, is we got our 100,000 subscriber button. The silver play button. Oh, also, by the way, Britt's hiding back there. So she may chime in here every once in a while, but she's keeping an eye on things over there. We got our silver play button, which is awesome. That means we hit 100,000 subscribers, which is crazy because we're at like 120 now, which is unfathomable. We do have a 100,000 subscriber video coming out soon, probably once we finish the Skyrim videos that we're doing right now. We're doing Malcolm Reynolds' pistol for the 100,000 video. I have the templates done, ready to go. I just have to shoot the video. But that's coming out here real soon. Hopefully I'll get to this before we hit 200,000 subscribers. What else? So yeah, anyway, thank you everyone for tuning in, subscribing, and checking out our videos. You guys are awesome. And we couldn't have got this cool button thing without you. It's weird. Like, I didn't expect to get emotional about it, but when it showed up, I was like genuinely moved. It's a physical reminder that I get to see every day of all the work that we all put into making this thing. So thank you guys. That thing's really cool. Oh, quick reminder too. All of our Q&A episodes that we do, these Prop Live Q&As, are archived on our second channel. That's which, if you're watching it after the fact now, that's where you are. So you ought to hit that subscribe button. That's where all of our extra content is going moving forward, including our podcast episodes. Punish Props Extras is the name of the channel. We'll have a link to that in the notes of this episode, so you can go check it out. If you're on our website, it'll be right there. Go on over there and subscribe. We're going to do more like vlog type content. We're going to do these Q&As. Anything that's not like building stuff is going to go on over there. What else? Oh, Britt pointed out too, we're very close to our next Patreon goal. And I do want to thank very much all of our patrons who have supported us thus far. The next goal is going to help us upgrade a bunch of stuff in the shop. Help us upgrade our video stuff, our video and audio and lighting. And that's all that technical stuff that costs money. We're going to invest a bunch of the Patreon money into that. So we're $30 away from that. Really, really close. If you're looking for a great way to help us out, consider throwing $1 a week over there. That's $1 per week of content. Goes a long way to help us out. And we're very, very close to getting some new gear in the shop to help make better videos. So I'm pretty stoked. What else do we have before we start taking your questions? Okay. Basically, also too, if you haven't already checked out our Skyrim videos that we've been doing, just go over to punishprops.com and check out the Steel Armor Part 1 video that we did. These are designed to show you everything you need to know to make that set of armor, including free blueprint files. And this is all working along with Bethesda. They came to us to help put this together to help promote Skyrim, the new Skyrim Special Edition, which is so excited. Very excited. We're both gonna probably hunker down and play it again. But what's amazing about this is because Bethesda sponsored these videos, we were able to take the time to build templates that other people can use. Usually, I draw my templates on cardboard, and by the time I'm done with them, they're useless and I throw them away, and I can't take the time to digitize them to give out to other people. So the sponsored video meant they paid us, and we could then afford to take the time to build really comprehensive videos. We have 2 more coming out for the armor and to make those templates. So if you want to build that yourself, you should go grab those templates. Watch the video. It's all the foam fabrication that you need to know. The next video next week will be on painting and a couple more little bits and bobs. And then the part after that is going to be getting everything strapped up for wearing. So that is like the most comprehensive costume build video we've ever done by a long shot. We're doing it in a small series. So look forward to that. Go check it out. We're very proud. I'm very proud of the work both of us put into that, and I feel like we've upped our game. So if you don't watch it, then Buddha Cat will be sad.
Eric is disappointed your tie isn't made of foam.
Yeah, I see a couple of people in the chat pointing that out. I just grabbed this like a minute ago. I did not plan ahead. Besides, I used all my foam on that armor.
Yeah, we'd order more.
Hey, buddy, you want to get a room there? He's just going to town on his belly section. All right. So, business. Numbers. Is this working? I don't know, buddy. Today we're talking about business stuff. Right out of the gate, I did a prop live a while ago that was like how to turn your creative passion into a business sort of thing. I recommend you go watch that. That's more like our story for the Punish Prop story, kind of how we got to where we are now. Today I'm really it's all about you guys. It's you guys and your questions. But before we dive into that, I do want you guys to understand that we have a very specific business model that works for us. Doing the type of work stuff that we enjoy doing. So what we're doing may not be your cup of tea. It may not work for you the way it's working for us. But it might not. But there are lots of different business models. Oh my goodness. Who could it be?
Willow's acting crazy.
It's the other cat. Do you know the other cat that lives with us? Yeah. Your sister? Yeah, she's right there. There are a lot of different business models that live inside of that prop maker, costume maker, cosplayer umbrella, right? So hopefully I can help you guys figure out something that works underneath that umbrella. We've tried a lot of things. Where we are now and what we're doing now is much different than what we were doing a long time ago. And we've changed over the years to figure out something that we enjoy doing, that we can run a business run a business that makes money. And that's an important distinction to make. When it comes to talking about business, it is about earning an income and earning more than just what you need to get by to be what we would consider a successful business. So hopefully I can give you guys some advice that helps you down that path. We do have a section on our website all about business talk. punishprops.com/business-talk if you want to see where more of this stuff is collected. Surely this video will be posted there later. Everyone's very excited to see me playing with Buddha Cat, but he ran off. Oh, there he is. He's getting all up on that play button. He doesn't know what to think. Yeah. Okay, let's grab some questions as I take another sip from my business mug. Hey, Patch is here. 10 minutes late. Oh, bingo. Gonna Get You 11 has a question. What is your advice for someone wanting to turn their hobby into a business? That's an awfully broad question, but if I can give you one bit of advice, this was a rule that I made for myself when I got started, because I already had a good job, and I was quitting that good job to roll the dice on this goofy hobby of mine. I didn't like my job all that much. It was fine, but there was nothing about it that was amazing. So my rule was, if the type of work I did every day as a prop maker was not enjoyable, if I did not enjoy it, if I wasn't having fun, then I might as well just go back to my old job. Because that old job provided things like a steady paycheck and security and free soda in the soda machine. And my prop making job offered none of that. So if I didn't enjoy myself, then I might as well go back to that old job or change what I was doing. And as a self-employed person, you have the ability to change what you're doing every day. You could pivot every minute if you wanted to. I wouldn't recommend it, but you can. And it's easy to forget that you have that flexibility, and you can stop everything you're doing right now and completely change your plan tomorrow as a self-employed person. And if you are hating what you're doing, then you should change right away. So that's my one bit of advice. That was the one rule that I made for myself that worked out pretty well. As an example, when I got started, I was making costumes. I was taking costume commissions for other people. And I did, a handful of those, and I hated it. Just trying to size people who weren't there and dealing with measurements, and just the idea of building a costume for someone else wasn't really that appealing to me. I didn't like that, so I said, okay, no more costume commissions. I'll make space guns. Space guns are one size fits all. Thank you. Gonna Get You 11. Let's grab this one from Chris. What's the worst business decision you've made so far, and what did you learn from it? That's tricky, because I don't think that I've made any one giant terrible decision, but I have made lots of little ones. So let me give you a couple of examples. We ran a Kickstarter a while ago, and it was successful. We raised a lot of money, and then I used that money to produce the space gun that we had in the Kickstarter. We produced that in-house, which meant making a bunch of molds, and because we had to have more than one set of molds to make as many guns as we needed. And then I ended up hiring friends to come help pour castings. It was like 13 pieces for each kit, which was just way too much. What I should have done, and you can do this, was hire someone else to do the fulfillment and production for you. If you have a big old chunk of money, you can just go to a company and be like, hey, can you do this for me? And then it'll be done. It's paid for already. And while you're doing that, I can work on building my business in other ways. That was a big one, because it took us a very long time to get through the bulk of that stuff. Hey Patch says the worst thing about self-employment is having to fill out your own taxes. That is a bummer. We do actually pay someone to do our bookkeeping, and we paid them to do our taxes last year, which was really handy. You got to pay for it, though. Other mistakes that I've made, I think a lot of them really have come down to just doing the wrong thing, or things that I didn't like, or things that weren't productive for longer than I should have. Learn to fail fast. The faster you can fail, the quicker you can say, okay, that didn't work. I won't do that again. Let's move forward. I can't think of any specific examples other than having to build costumes for other people and fly around the country and deliver them. That was a pain. Rocketman Prop says, on the flip side, I'm sure lots of us in here will be happy to take on all of those molds and casts for someone else's Kickstarter. Exactly, yeah. I could have hired someone like you to do all the casting. Or there are whole companies that do that too. Let's grab another one. Let's see, that last one was from Chris. Thanks, Chris. Nick wants to know, do you have a daily set work schedule or keep office hours? Kind of. It really depends on what we've got going on. So if we have a deadline, so good example, these Skyrim videos that we're doing right now, we have 5 of them to produce. So not only do we have to build the costume, we also have to film all of it and then get that edited down. It needs to be edited early. A video that goes up on Thursday needs to be done by Monday so that we can send it to Bethesda. They can give it the thumbs up, and then we can publish it. So we have, even though we put up a video today on the armor, we were painting it yesterday to get ready for a video that has to be done on Monday. And when you have a production schedule like that, suddenly strict office hours go out the door and you end up in the shop until midnight every day. Now, we do that less and less. Would you agree, Britt? Like, maybe a year or two ago, like maybe crunch time before Dragon Con.
It's way better, but also back when I had a day job, I didn't do as much crunch time as you. But I remember, like, I would go to sleep and wake up and you were still awake.
Yeah, I don't really do that anymore. We're getting better and better at scheduling our time. But our daily schedule is a little bit more loose. I think having the shop in our basement, and I can just go down there whenever I want, blurs the line a little bit. And eventually I would love to get to the point where the shop is at least a separate building, and I would have to go out in the rain to get there. To have a more defined schedule like that. It ebbs and flows a little bit, but we are working closer and closer to having more of a set schedule. I will say things like we were doing a bunch of 3D printing yesterday. We had 3 3D printers going, and it's not that I was working so much, but I would go down and check on them and see how they were doing. But I like doing that. Like, that's fun. And if they're nearby, I'm going to go check on them. So we were doing that until like maybe midnight last night or maybe a little later. So even though I wasn't technically working, I still went to check on work stuff. But again, I love doing this stuff. So I would rather do that than a lot of other things. Thanks for the question, Nick. ODCA Props says, when you get a commission, how do you calculate the price for a proper costume? There's a really good website. I'll have two things. There's a website. What was it called? Freelance Rate Calculator, maybe? Yes, here it is. Freelance Hourly Rate Calculator. We'll put a link in the. Are you grabbing that, Britt? Here, I'll drop it in the notes there. There's a link there. You can go figure out what your hourly rate might be using a calculator like that. The important thing about this calculator is you do have to figure out things like your preferred lifestyle. How many days per week will you work on average? So if I put 7 days, how many hours? 10 hours. What percentage of these hours are billable? Oh, if I'm going to be working for 10 hours, 5 of those hours every day might be me doing clerical stuff, answering emails, taking care of invoices, shipping stuff. So what if only 50% of those hours are billable? That means that 50% of those hours that I'm working on a prop become more valuable. How many vacation days? Wow, that's something you'd like to think about every year. How many do you want? What if I got 20 vacation days? How many sick days? 5, let's say. How many days off for other holidays? Let's say 5. And then it says, how much would you like to put into a retirement account? Boy, the amazing thing about this, when you start to figure out what your rate should be, is that you should go and figure out how much do you want to put away for retirement? How much profit do you want to make? How much profit on top of your expenses do you want to make? What if I want to make $20,000 a year? And then there's a whole bunch of other stuff in here. Really, it's not just about figuring out how much you should charge per hour. It's about figuring out what sort of lifestyle you want to live. And then you can figure out how much you need to charge per hour to do that. I would also say our buddy David Picciuto did a really good video. And again, we'll have a link on this. Not to charge by hour, but to charge by the day. It's called your day rate. So you may find out, let's say that I decide that my hourly rate is $20 an hour, right? And I'm going to work roughly 10 hours a day, which is low for a lot of stuff that we do. Then what that means is my day rate is $200 a day. So when someone asks me, I want to make a prop, or I want you to make a prop, how much is it going to be? And I think it's going to be 5 days worth of work. That's $1,000. So, and plus things like materials. What you'll find is no project ever takes less than 1 day, which means you charge at least 1 day worth of day rate for your commission. At least. Every single prop takes at least a day to make. Usually 2. So consider that. So find out what you think your hourly rate might be compared to your lifestyle and how much money you'd like to make and save. And then consider what your day rate is going to be. So there you go. Hopefully that helped you out. ODCA props. What you're going to start finding is you're going to have to charge a lot more than you think you are. So there you go. I will also point out that every single commission I have ever taken, I have undercharged for. Every single one. I'm sure of it. And I've charged a lot for some of them, but I still should have charged more. But that's because I'm still getting better at that stuff. All right. Great questions so far. Brit just posted the link to that freelance hourly calculator. Fill it out. Check that out. Consider the things you need to think of when you no longer have that steady paycheck from a big corporation. Next question comes from Will. One of the biggest issues I've had is pricing commissions. He says, I found people don't want to pay a lot for work by someone who isn't a big name, despite the craftsmanship. How would you suggest pricing be figured out, especially early in your business venture? So the challenge is going to be making a name for yourself so that you can charge those rates. If you're early on in your and let's be clear here too. If you are a prop maker like I'm a prop maker, or if you are a prop maker like work on movies, those are two very different jobs. I work for myself. If you want to be a prop maker and work on movies, you move to LA, someone pays you an hourly rate. You're all set. But you don't need to have a strong personal brand. You should, but you don't need to have a strong reputation to the world at large. You just need to be well known inside the prop making community in LA. If you want to do what I do as a well-known prop maker on the internet, you have to build that brand. You have to make a name for yourself as someone who not only does quality work but is dependable, easy and easy to communicate with. And you got to meet people. You got to get out there. One of the things we did when we were at TwitchCon was we went to all the video game companies we could and started meeting people and saying, hey, we'd love to do videos with you guys. I see Jake posting a question in the chat. Jake, if you want to send a question, use punishprops.com/live and it'll get sent through here. Anyway, what you may end up having to do is do some jobs for cheap or, yes, for free to get your name out there while you still have a day job. And that's what I did. I had my day job for, I think, 2 or 3 years while I ran my blog, kind of building a name for myself and building my reputation and my personal brand. I did a lot of stuff for cheap and free while I was working towards building my name. Then the challenge is finding the clients who can afford to pay you for what your work is worth. And that's why we went to TwitchCon to talk to video game companies, because video game companies, bigger ones anyway, tend to have a budget for marketing and advertising, a budget that they could spend on us to help them produce videos. If you're looking to just build props or costumes from people, then you've got to go check. You have to find the people willing to do that. Find the collectors. If you build stuff from Borderlands, go hang out in the Borderlands forums and make a name for yourself there whenever you build a new Borderlands thing. And eventually you will hopefully find people that are like, hey, that thing's really cool. Money's no object. Build me my favorite thing. Here's a pile of cash. This is all easier said than done, and it did literally take me years to get to the point where I could start charging what I was worth. And again, I probably still have never actually charged what I'm worth. But keep your head to the ground. I can't. How does that saying go? Ear to the ground. I don't know. Keep working at it. As long as you keep producing good content and getting it out in front of people, you will eventually strike gold, or maybe copper. Oh, I have 2 computers. This mouse is for that computer. This mouse is for this computer. Figured it out. Hey, Lotus Maximus just subscribed with Twitch Prime. That's awesome. Thank you. Nose to the grindstone. Thanks, Max Money. I figured it out. Wayne says, for commission work, do you have a contract that you and the other parties agree to? I have, usually for bigger companies, although if I took a commission from a stranger now, although we don't really take commissions from strangers, but if I did, I'd send them a contract now. For bigger companies like Wizards of the Coast, we did, for this project that we're working on with Bethesda, there was a contract, absolutely. He says, would you happen to have sample contracts whose language we can use? I don't, unfortunately. So far, most of the contracts that we've done have been sent to me to sign and figure out. I do have a contract that my friends and I use for affiliates for our book sales. Because for example, Volpenprop sells our books on his store, and he sells our books on our store, and the contract just explains that what the price split is, how much we each get per sale, and how frequently we get paid, and we each reserve the right to remove our books from the other person's store for any reason. That just protects us in case we need to do that. It also points out things like if my books go on sale on my website, they stay the same price, not on sale on Volpenprop's website. And if he puts books on sale on his site, my books also don't change price. So he can't put my books on sale on his website, because then he would be competing with me. Things like that. And it was written in very simple language. I don't know how well it would hold up in a court of law, but it's at least one step closer to being legit. If you do need a contract made, you can hire lawyers to do that. And there are websites, I'm sure, I haven't done it yet, but there are websites that can probably help you with that. But if you are doing something really big with lots of money and they don't want a contract, I would get one made and have them sign it before you agree to it. Mostly because the part where they say not only how much they were going to pay you and when they were going to pay you, that's the part you really want in writing, so that if they decide not to pay you, then you have a thing that you can go to with a lawyer and be like, hey, they said they would pay me. So that's the important thing, especially if it's a big project with a lot of money. Thanks, Wayne. Hey, here's one from our buddy Terry. He says, first, to Buddha what is your secret for staying healthy and happy? Where'd he go?
He's sleeping.
He's asleep. There you go. Secret. The secret is lots and lots of fitful sleep. He says, what are your basic things to cover in a contract with a corporate client? That's, again, when you get paid and how much you get paid. Those are very important. Oh, oh, wow.
He's even confused.
What just happened? What happened? Hey, buddy. What's your secret?
That's the only cat lounge that's big enough to fit him.
Yeah. There are a lot of other things you should cover. Too many for me to mention, but I'll try and think of a couple. If you send them a prop and it breaks, who fixes it? If you fix it, how much is that going to cost? When you have to deliver it, you want to know when they want it delivered, so that you can get it done on time. And also, they may have a clause that says, like, hey, it needs to be done by this time, but it really needs to be shipped by this time to get here for this thing so that we can take it to this thing. Get all your dates in order. Not only when you get paid and how much you get paid, but how you get paid. You'll probably have to fill out a double W-9 for that. What else? Any content that you make, or any content that you get. So if you get assets from a video game company to make their thing, they're going to want to make sure that you're not giving that stuff away. So expect to see that sort of stuff. But also vice versa. You may make a bunch of blueprints and templates and 3D files and stuff. And they may be like, hey, you made all that stuff. Can we keep it? And they may just sneak that into the contract. And you're reading the contract and you're like, no, those are you can have the prop, but you cannot have my mold. You cannot have my 3D files. You can't have that stuff. You get the prop. You want to be very clear about that in the language of the contract. And again, if you are going to sign a big, healthy contract like that, and you are not comfortable with it, take it to a lawyer and have them look it over and explain it to you. And then if you don't like it, then you can modify stuff, send it back to the company and be like, I made some changes, what do you think? And they can thumbs it up or thumbs it down. But usually any changes you offer they're not, unless you're a crazy person, they're not going to be off the walls. So don't think that you're asking too much by changing the contract. Let's see here. Oh, thanks, Terry. Oh, this guy. He's trying to sneak away. Plum Prop says, as a starting out prop maker cosplayer, what are the best ways to get your name out there and gain a following as well as gaining clients? Would you say doing things as YouTube helps? YouTube has been massively helpful for us. So this is one way. There are lots of different ways, but creating content around the physical things that you make is incredibly helpful. It's called, I didn't learn this until recently, but it's called content marketing. You build free content that anyone can see. It's easy to consume. It's out on the internet. People see that stuff and they're like, hey, that guy's cool. He makes stuff. We should hire him for our job. Awesome. That's basically how it works. Where are you going? Got somewhere to be? Oh, there's fluffy things here. Let me tell you something about YouTube and about videos in general. It's not easy to make videos. It's a lot of extra work. It takes twice as long for us to make anything because we film everything. But here's the secret. Because it takes extra work to do, hardly anyone else does it. And that will set you apart. So find the gaps, knowledge gaps, anytime you see something in the community where you're trying to make a name for yourself that's missing, that people are saying, I wish there was X. I wish there were more video tutorials about making props. I wish there was a convention just for costumes. I wish there was whatever. When you hear people saying, I wish there was a thing like that, you be the person that says, I'm willing to do the legwork to do that and bring it to that community. Those are the sort of things that are going to help you make a name for yourself outside of just being someone that makes really cool things. It's funny how we live in a world now full of prop and costume makers who are all really good at making really cool things. They used to be a unique thing. It's not anymore. There are a lot of really talented makers out there who, like this guy. So if you really want to make a dent, you've got to go outside of that. Start generating content. Write a blog. Take photos. To make videos. Start a podcast. Notice how we do all of those things. That's going to help you get your name out there. So, yes, YouTube would definitely help. Thank you for the question, Plum Props. And thank you, Dr. Constantiel, for the Twitch Prime subscription. All right. Hey, buddy, you're on the TV. Look there's little emotes of your face right there. He doesn't care. He doesn't care. He's so humble. He's so humble about being an internet superstar. Let's see here. Another follow-up question from Plum Props. How important would you say interaction with followers is, and how do you cope with all the comments and messages? It is vital. And I'm going to recommend a book to you. This book is called Crushing It by Gary Vaynerchuk. Go read it. It's not very long. I grabbed the audiobook. It's perfect. He talks a lot about building a personal brand, getting your name out there, a lot of content marketing type stuff. and he does talk a lot about interacting with your audience. That's the most amazing thing about making content on the internet. This is a two-way street where you can do what you and I are doing right now. I'm making content. I can get responses in real time and respond to you guys. Kind of like ELZZT, who just subscribed for 5 months in a row. Thank you very much. Trend Otaku wants to know if there's an ebook on it. I'm not sure if there's a Kindle version or not, but if you go to Amazon and look up Crushing It by Gary Vaynerchuk, you can see if there's an audio version, there's a print version, then there's probably a Kindle version too. So head on over there and check it out. Yes, Buddha Cat is ready to pounce. Get back to everyone that you can. I don't know if you guys go look at our YouTube comments, but they're good. Not a lot of people can say that. Our YouTube comments are actually pretty awesome. I spend a lot of time in there responding to just about everyone, especially when people have questions. That means they're coming to me because I'm an authority and I can help them out. And if I can do that, usually I'll spend 10 minutes a day, sit down, answer as many comments as I can. It does get a little overwhelming. There's Twitter, there's Facebook, there's email, there's YouTube comments. I try to keep it limited to just a handful of those things, but it can be overwhelming. But that doesn't mean I should stop. I do try and get back to as many people as possible. You guys take the time to get a hold of me, so I try and hold up my end and get back to you. I will say, with since we make all this content, we've gotten good at being able to, when people have questions, just pointing them towards content that we've already made. I know people a lot of times want an interaction with me, so they'll ask me a question, but I'm like, I've already answered that question a dozen more times. Go watch our foam ceiling video. So yeah, you may get to a point where it becomes overwhelming, and then you can just build ways into your content to be able to still answer people without having to do it one at a time. Brap wants to know how many panels you're hosting at RenCon. I don't know the times, but I will be on 2 panels, including one of them with Core Geek. I don't know if he's in the chat or not, but that should be a good time. Zach and Kettle. Pretty sure I nailed that. Curious, how do you get recognition for your work? This kind of loops into what we were talking about earlier. One thing I will point out specifically, though, is if you build something from a certain fandom, like Mass Effect, go to where the Mass Effect people hang out. Is there a Mass Effect subreddit on Reddit? Is there a Mass Effect forums? Is there a Mass Effect Facebook group? Why, there is. Go to the place where the fans who are enthusiastic about the thing that you made hang out and share your content there. Don't be bothersome, don't overshare, but share your work with the people who are stoked about it, the people who are going to be really excited to see it. So instead of just sharing stuff like to a general cosplay page, share it with a Skyrim page. The people who are enthusiastic about that thing are the people who are going to spread the word. You know, if I go to like the subreddit for Skyrim and say, hey, check out the new Skyrim armor I made, the people there are going to be like, sweet, I have a dozen friends who love Skyrim. I'm going to share it with them, and they're going to share it with their Skyrim loving friends, and then everyone's going to see it. That's kind of how it goes. Let's see here. Hey Patch is talking about he's talking about his YouTube channel. That's very cool, which you should all go check out and subscribe to. He says all his videos have been shot and edited from his phone. That's awesome. Keep it simple and learn the art of the montage. Good tips. I didn't know you did all those from your phone. That's awesome. Well done. I've been watching all of Hey Patch's videos. They're fantastic. He made a broomstick. A Nimbus 2000? All right. Fearless Facade, our buddy from across the pond, he wants to know, where do you see Punished Props in the next 5 years? That is a fantastic question. That's something that I've been putting a lot of thought into lately. We are going to have 10 more cats. Or this cat is going to be 10 times bigger. I would love to have a real studio space that's built and designed not just for making stuff, but for filming, where I can do all the work I need to do, but also have guest people come in. I've got all these wonderful, amazing, talented friends who are super good at making stuff, and I would love to be able to invite them in to help make video content with me. So that's where I see us in 5 years. You'll probably be dead.
That's funny 'cause it's true.
No, my luck, he'll outlive both of us.
Great.
All right, good question, Fearless Facade. It's good to be looking forward to things like that. Start making decisions that will affect you 5 years down the road. Barnacles has a question. He says, how do you become a millionaire in your garage? That is a great question. Start as a billionaire. What was it? That was Richard Branson. I think he said start as a billionaire and then buy an airline. Or start an airline. I don't know, man. I don't know. I'll let you know when I get there. I'm working on becoming a thousandaire. I think that'd be pretty great. Josh wants to know, what's the biggest barrier to getting started? What percentage of your income is from ad revenue on your channel and stream compared to commissions and website sales? The biggest barrier to getting started as a business is all of the mistakes you're going to make going forward. So the biggest barrier is you and your lack of business savvy knowledge. So what I would say is, granted, there are a lot of lessons that I learned now that I know now that I had to learn the hard way. But there were plenty of lessons I didn't necessarily have to learn the hard way. I've been reading a lot of books lately, and some of that stuff would have been way awesome to know 5 years ago instead of knowing now. So if you're just getting started, start dipping into the world of business help books and knowledge that's out there. And then percentage of income. Ad revenue is not a very high percentage for us. So from YouTube, I would guess, I don't know, maybe like between 2 and 5% of our income is probably YouTube ad revenue. It's not much. I mean, it keeps these guys fed. And it keeps the lights on, but it's compared to, like you said, website sales and commission type stuff. That's way, way higher. For us in particular, things like our Patreon, which is awesome because it's consistent. Patreon is way more than our YouTube ad revenue, for example, per month. And then books and ebook sales, that's our bread and butter right now. So every one of you that goes and buys one of our books or some of our ebooks or blueprints or anything like that, that's where the bulk of our income comes from right now. That might be different in the next 5 years. Who knows? We've got ideas and plans and things we want to try out. We're definitely not static. So know that even though we have a thing that's working for us right now, and you may be trying to get there, know that we are also trying to get somewhere else. We're constantly reaching towards another thing and setting more ambitious goals. Thank you, Josh. Kyle over at Cute Monster Cosplay wants to know, I'm looking to start a project that would utilize a lot of cosplay-friendly businesses. 3D printing companies, electronic companies, software companies, etc. with the goal of cross-promotion to get better reach. How do you go about making contact with these companies and getting shared by them? A lot of the... I'll give you an example. Smooth On, I worked with Tested, and they knew people at Smooth On. We did a deal together on the District 9 rifle, and that's how I got introduced to them. Getting introduced to Tested, I was a member of their fan audience for a long, long time, and I contributed whenever I could, and I sent them props for their giveaways, for their what was it? Every year they did a live stream, like a 24-hour live stream, and they did charity giveaway type stuff. So that's kind of how I got in with them originally, but I was just, a helpful member of their community until I became pals with them. And then I did a project with them. They looped in Smooth On. Now I know Smooth On. That's just kind of how it goes. You can cold call people, and there is a lot of merit in that, but a lot of times it's hard to get a hold of the right person. So traveling to conventions and talking with people at booths is one way to do it. A good example, when we were at TwitchCon, we went to a bunch of video game companies and tried to meet people and talk to them about possibly us doing videos with them. A lot of those companies, especially the smaller ones, like they would send a dude to their booth, and it was like an audio guy, which was cool. He was very stoked about his project, but he's not the guy that I can talk to get to a connection with their marketing guy, which is probably who I ought to talk to. When I went to the Amazon booth, they had a dozen or more staff members there, including a marketing guy. So it was kind of, I wouldn't say lucky, but I was able to get to a hold of the right person that way. Essentially, you're going to have a lot more misses than hits when it comes to that. Just be friends with everyone. Be what you want out of the world. So if you want companies to be helpful to them, and expect nothing in return. Let's see here. He's looking to start writing content possibly for ebooks. That's a great idea. What are good tips when writing these types of books, and what can you do to ensure they are seen when you have relatively low reach? Well, you can't really do a lot about that. You can write stuff about stuff that no one else has written. Pick a topic that has been covered well. But more importantly, just whatever your first book is, just write it and get it out the door. Odds are no one's going to see it or read it anyway, so just get it out of your system. Don't think you've got this one great book that's going to be amazing and everyone's going to see it. Treat your first book like practice. Get it out the door. Not just practice writing, but practice publishing a book, practice marketing a book. Get it out of your blood, and then work on the next one. That's the biggest tip I can give for anyone. If you're looking for good tips on writing stuff, Ryan Holiday has some good content on that. I believe it's ryanholiday.net. That could be it. He's a really great writer, marketing guy, and yeah. Go through ryanholiday.net. We'll put a link in the show notes here. But go read through a bunch of his blog stuff, especially anything on writing. All right. And I can tell that to Kyle because I know he'll do it. Kyle is a champ. I don't think anyone hustles as much as Kyle. Let's see here. Just checking a peek at the chat here. Oh, cool. Just some thanks and stuff. Cool. All right, let's grab some more questions. We have a bunch of questions. We may go long today. I want to get through as many as I can. Hey Patch says, it would appear that a lot of makers have come out with books. What's the best way to go about doing this? Self-publishing. Oh, more about that. And how in-depth should a book be? Well, I'll give you an example of as far as being in-depth. When we wrote the first Foamsmith book, I decided to split it up into shorter ebooks that would be roughly $5 each, or what I felt like were going to be worth $5. So write a bunch of stuff, and you can always split it into 2 parts if you want, and decide who your audience is going to be, and if that you want to have an audience that's big enough to support the book, to buy the book. So the more specific and in-depth you get, that's smaller that audience gets. So you may make a book on making molds. Awesome. Everyone wants to learn basically how to make molds. If you write a book about making matrix molds, you're like, okay, not as many people are that into matrix molds. You may write a book about making 4-part matrix molds. Like, the more specific and in-depth you get, the smaller your audience is. Sorry, buddy. So just keep that in mind. Bill Helm Creations says, if you could go back in time to when you started Punish Props and started everything over again, what would you do differently? And is there anything you wish you knew back then? Yes, there's lots of stuff I wish I knew back then. I have spent sleepless nights thinking about what I would change if I could. And I've decided that if I did anything differently, I wouldn't be where I am right now. And I'm pretty stoked about where I am right now. So I just treat that like not a great use of my time. I would rather spend that time asleep. So I try not to think about it. But I would probably have read Gary Vaynerchuk's book, Crushing It, when it came out in 2009 and not in 2016. So Go read that book. The Digital Armorer has a question for us. You ready, buddy? You ready to answer it? Boy, he has a lump. For a prop maker who takes commissions, do you think it is wise to go big with conventions, like huge displays, lights, trying to keep up with big names, or is it better to stay small and personal? You can win either way. I don't know that one way is better than the other. The bigger you go, the more risk you take, but the bigger the reward. So that's really depends on what kind of person you are. How would you choose which cons to attend when planning a convention schedule for your business? Well, I'll tell you what. If you make a lot of anime stuff, go to anime conventions. If you do more of like an artist alley type thing, some conventions are better for that than others. You're going to have to do market research, talk to other makers, people who go to these shows, get feedback. You're going to have to just go to some and roll the dice on it and see what happens. I've been surprised. We go to conventions every once in a while, and I'll get a booth and try and sell books. And I've been surprised at, like, I was in London, I brought a bunch of books, and I was like, okay, I'm going to have to hustle to sell books because I'm in London. No one knows who I am. Everyone knew who I was. I sold every book I had. I was like, it was totally surprising. The same can happen in the other direction. You're like, oh, this is great. It's my local convention. Everyone will know who I am. You bring a ton of books. No one buys them. You won't know until you try. Let's grab another one. Mike wants to know, is working with friends on a prop business a good move? It really depends on your friends. Would you prefer to be solo with occasional help from friends? We're toying with the idea of hiring people at this point. I will say, if you're working with someone on a professional thing, the most vital thing, not how good they are, the most vital thing is whether or not you can get along with them and whether or not they understand what your company and your vision is, not only for the project you're working on, but for where your company is going. They need to understand that, and they need to be on board. And if they can't be on board with your vision, and if you can't get along with them, then it doesn't matter how good they are. They're going to be terrible to work with. So that's what you got to think about when hiring people. We've hired people here and there for just small projects. We've hired friends, and they worked out pretty good so far. And we're toying with the idea of hiring someone on maybe full-time or part-time, but more regularly for a lot more of the clerical stuff that we do. And I would really rather have someone who can learn. They can learn how to do all that stuff. We can teach them. That's not a problem. But if they're a bummer to be around, then I can't work with them. So it really depends on your friends. But don't feel bad if you have to fire your friends. If the goal of the business is to make money, does creative freedom have to not be a priority and only make and sell popular and in-demand items? You can have both. It's a lot of work, but you can have both. You can have your passion projects that you're really stoked about, and you can also make things that people want to sell or people really want to buy. You can have both. And if you really, really work hard and make a name for yourself and carve out a style for yourself, then you can just make whatever you want and people will buy it. You just got to work towards it. You got to make that a goal. Whatever whatever it is you want to get out of your business, you got to make that a goal and work towards it. Thank you, Mike. Quidden here. Do you ever worry about not having enough commissioners to make ends meet? Do you have a backup plan? I went into this with no plan B. I know maybe that's not the smartest thing to do, but we are in a good position where we have no debt, no children, and there are two of us, and each one of us could go get a job, another real job, if we had to. We can afford to take risks like that. But I knew that if I had a backup plan, then I would be like, it's okay. I'll just go back to Microsoft. I said, no plan B, no backup plan. This thing works come hell or high water. That worked for me. That might not be the best plan for you. It really depends on where you are in your life and how much risk you can take. Let's see. Do you ever worry about not having enough commissions to make ends meet? Yeah. That's called the anxiety of being completely self-employed. when you no longer have a paycheck coming every 2 weeks, things get really interesting really fast. I will say that things have been a lot better lately. In the last year, we've actually started saving money, which is amazing. So having a backup fund, which no matter who you are, self-employed or not, you should have like 6 months of money saved up as a last resort. Having that pillow, that cushion, boy, that makes sleeping at night a lot better, doesn't it? Doesn't it, buddy? It feels really good to have a little bit of a cushion. But it took us like 3 or 4 years to get to that point. So there was plenty of time in between then and now where things were tight and things kept me up at night. Let's grab this one from the Artful Techie. How is working together as a couple 24 hours a day? It's pretty good. Again, we've proven that we can get along. We worked together at our day job years ago. Granted, we were in different offices, although Britt's office is up here and mine's downstairs. So we kind of knew that we could do it anyway. We wouldn't get into each other's hair too much. And we've been best friends for 15, 16 years, for a good long time. So I don't think it was a surprise either one of us that it was going to work out all right. One thing that was important that we did recently that we should have done sooner is we listed all of the jobs in our company, right? Every single job. And there was, 30 or 40 of them. There were a lot of jobs. For example, one job, packaging books and mailing them out. Another job, answering customer service emails. Another job, answering client emails. Another job, editing video, editing the podcast, booking guests for the podcast. Like, there are all these jobs. We listed all of them, and then we assigned specific jobs to each one of us. It's basically an org chart for your company. And we should have done that a long time. We should have done that when Brittany came on full-time a year and a half, almost 2 years ago. We didn't. I wish we had. But now that we did that, we can say, okay, X is Bill's job. That's what he's doing today. And that actually makes things a lot easier.
Yeah, I'll get better at it.
Cute Monster Cosplay says, Bill, if you're looking for someone that could move there, I do have family in Seattle. I would love to hire you as a fabricator, Kyle, but unfortunately we are not looking for fabricators, and you would spend all of your day answering email and mailing books. And that would be a horrific waste of your talents. I do appreciate your enthusiasm, though. Let's see here. Baka likes the freelance calculator. Very good. Hopefully you've all filled that out.
Actually, he just said that it doesn't work anymore.
It doesn't. All right. Well, we'll look for another one.
Yeah.
Do still read it though. Read the calculator to start to figure out where your priorities ought to be. Let's see here. He says, "Do you know of any similar ones for how much to sell products for or handmade goods for?" I don't, but that's something worth looking into.
Yeah, I would just check out other people's stuff.
Yeah.
Like go on Etsy, see what people charge.
That's called market research.
Yeah.
You might also say something to consider. The higher price your thing is, the more people will assume it's worth. The more valuable. It's called perceived value. Now, up to a certain point. If I have two really amazing looking cars and this one costs $5,000 more, I'm going to be like, well, if I don't get that one, what am I missing out on? And that's a real thing that happens. So do some market research. Figure out how much it costs per day to make those things. Figure out what your day rate is. Jake wants to know, what's the best way to utilize Patreon in terms of attracting new patrons, providing perks that they deem worthwhile? I think more than anything, Patreon is a way for people who already want to help you to help you. It's great that you can have perks. It's great that you can offer something. But the way I've seen it, and the way I use Patreon as a patron, I go support other people, is I see people who make cool things that I like, and I give them $1 a month. And that's another thing too, by the way. Anyone looking to start a Patreon campaign, if you start your own Patreon campaign and don't support other campaigns, you're doing it wrong. This is a two-way street. Go out there and see how you can help other people. not only does it make you part of the Patreon family, but it feels great to know that you are helping someone else achieve their dreams. Which is why people want to support our Patreon campaign. They know every penny they send us goes towards taking this thing that we're making and making it better, towards supporting our dreams. And also, if they want, they can get a little something in return. Hey, we got a auto host from Fatsack51. Thanks, buddy. But essentially, be the thing you want to see out of other people. So if you want patrons, be a patron. If you want people to spread the word about your content, spread the word about other people's content. Be the thing you want to see out of the world. And then keep your Patreon campaign fresh. We've updated ours 3 or 4 times, and we're due for a new update. Keep setting new goals. Keep reminding people that you have a goal. For example, we're very close to a new goal that I think we're $30 away. And we're going to use that to help improve the video quality in all of our videos going forward. We remind people of that. That gives them a reason to go check out our Patreon page. And then post content to there regularly. Use it as a content posting platform, because when you send something to your Patreon campaign, they get an email that says, hey, Bill's doing stuff. They're like, oh, that's right. I'm a patron of Bill's. Good on you, Bill. I'm glad to see that I've supported you. Hey, Raptor Props, thanks for subscribing. You're awesome. Hopefully that helped you out a bunch, Jake. Good luck with the campaign. Whew. Boy, we got a good amount more. We're gonna keep going.
You're a trooper.
I'm a trooper. I think I've deserved steak after this.
Good things we have a steak.
We have a steak. Actually, you could take the steak out of the fridge and start warming it up. That'd be awesome. Wayne wants to know, if you build a prop for someone and photographs are taken of it and used in promotions, do you get royalties? No. If you took the photo, then yes, but no. Another sense, artists retain the copyrights of their art so it cannot be copied. How is it for props that you make? If there's a painting and I take a photo of that painting and try and sell that photo, if it's just the painting, I'm going to run into problems. If I have a prop and if someone has a prop, I took a photo of it and I want to sell photos of that painting or use it for promotion, that's a little bit muddier. I can probably get away with it. Or the person who took the photo owns the rights to that photo. There's a lot of gray area there, but they're not replicating your prop, right? They're turning it into a different medium. They're taking a photograph of it. If they recast your prop, if they take your prop or buy your prop and put it under silicone and then sell their own copies, okay, that they shouldn't be able to do that. That gets a little bit muddy as well with whether or not you own the IP to it. So if I make an original piece, right? Let's say I make a sculpture of Buddha Cat here, and I mold and cast and sell them, and I've copyrighted it, and it's my IP. And then some other guy buys one, puts it under silicone, and then casts copies of it and starts selling his own Buddha Cat statues. Then I can be like, no, and sick my lawyer. This is my lawyer right here. Sick my lawyer on him. Tell him to cut it out. But because he's actually replicating the work. If he took a photograph of my Buddha Cat statue, especially if there's like other stuff in the photo, and then he tries to sell those photos, then he can do that. Although I don't know who would buy those. There, hopefully that helped you out, Wayne. Cleaved Creations says, I'm an aspiring prop maker and costume maker. I currently have a day job, but I find it's hard to manage and want to make a prop business. How can I find that proper balance between day job and prop making? Not everyone's an entrepreneur. Not everyone wants to run their own company. You may want to try and get a job as a prop maker working for someone else. Totally possible. Used to be you had to go to LA for that, but you can probably make do in Atlanta and a handful of other places. Look for studios that build stuff. Heck, even just look for a studio that does molding and casting. They might maybe making, trophies or, more sculptural art stuff, but those are really great skills to have and learn. And then if they have really cool tools, you can go use them. So you don't necessarily need to, you could turn your day job into something more of what you want to do by working for someone else if you don't enjoy the aspects of what it takes to run a business. Curious, are there any prop makers of color, different race other than Caucasian, that you know of? Brittany specifically recommended Knightmage.
Knightmage is so cool.
Yeah, Knightmage is super cool.
I finally got to meet him very briefly at DragonCon.
Yes, we'll put a link in the chat and in the show notes for you guys. Go check out Knightmage. He's cool.
He's hilarious.
Miguel says, I've been running a prop business for almost a year now and hired my first employee. Well done. Started out with lower end props, but I'm trying to slowly transition to higher end stuff in less quantities. How do you go straight up to high end commissions that you can only really use your full set for and take your time doing? A lot of times that means like working double time or triple time, meaning spending 10 hours a day working on the smaller projects that are going to make you money, and spending another 6 or 7 hours working on that passion project that you really enjoy. Everyone has to find that balance for themselves. If you can, start getting commissions from bigger companies that can pay for them, then that's the way to go. If that's what you really want to be making, just make that a goal. Say, next year, I'm going to score 3 big company commissions. And then start asking yourself, well, what do I have to do to make that happen? And then do those things. Dylan...
I forgot about Fev.
Oh, is Fev here?
No, but Call Me Whiskers pointed out.
Oh, yeah.
Also a prop maker to follow. I'll link to her page.
Very good. Go hang out with Fev. Fev's delightful. Fev Studios. Dylan says, have you ever thought about making props from woodworking and smithing? Not really. I do want to learn how to weld. Woodworking doesn't have a lot of appeal to me unless I need something specifically made out of wood. I don't know. I don't get a lot of pleasure out of making something from the real material. It just doesn't appeal to me that much. I just want to make a space gun that looks like a space gun. I don't care if it's plastic, wood, hot glue, whatever. I just want to make it look really neat. But that's a personal preference. The Artful Techie has another question. You mentioned that you follow and watch YouTube channels. How do you manage your time to get work done and still keep up to date? We get most of our... you guys need to know that we don't get out a lot. We don't leave the house very often because we work in the basement. And like I was saying before, I may have like a print going downstairs, or a good example, when we did that giant gear the other day, every 3 hours we had to brush on a new layer of Epsilon. So like after dinner, went downstairs, brushed on the thing, came upstairs, played some video games, then went back down, brushed on another layer. So we keep up to date. I don't watch television. We watch most of our stuff on Netflix now that there's a new season of Arrow and The Flash. We're getting caught up on those, which we should watch some of those tonight.
Yeah, we should.
What was I saying? Oh, we don't watch television. We just watch Netflix and YouTube. That's really all we do. We may on a good night watch those for a couple hours in the evening as we decompress.
The Watch Later playlist.
Yeah, and as I go through the day, if I see YouTube videos that I like, I hit watch later and it adds them to a list. And then at the end of the day, I go hit watch. And then longer videos, like more podcasty type stuff, I'll just let those play while I'm in the shop, while I'm working. I don't really watch them. They just kind of drone on in the background. So that's kind of how I keep up to date, I guess. But also sometimes I have to be like, sorry, your video is 20 minutes long. I'm not going to watch that one. I'm sorry. But I do try and keep up with everyone. Tran Otaku says, what would justify the purchase of tools such as a laser cutter and 3D printers? Would the need of the tool outweigh the cost, or would you wait until it was beneficial to you? Depends on what you're making. And you have to figure out if, like, you could buy a laser cutter and then start selling stuff that is specifically made with a laser cutter, right? You can make little tchotchkes and stuff, throw them up on Etsy, and try and get that laser cutter to pay for itself. Or you could do it the other way. Save up a bunch of money, buy that laser cutter, and then use it for whatever you want. I bought the laser cutter because I knew it would make the making of many of the things I do way better, way easier, and faster. So I just made that a goal. I want to buy a laser cutter, and I saved up a bunch of money and I bought it. And then it doesn't need to earn me any money. It's doing its thing. It's great. It sits there, and when I have a thing I need to make, I'm like, okay, I'll go use a laser cutter. But you have to figure out, how you can make it work for you. I will say, if you do a lot of scroll saw stuff, you should get a laser cutter, because ever since I got that thing, I don't really use my scroll saw anymore. Laser cutter is where it's at. So that's how I justify it. What would be the best thing you learned or are still learning about self-employment? This is hard to put into words, but I did recently kind of figure out that the ambitious goals I've been setting for myself should be 10 times more ambitious, and that I can still achieve them. Kind of a weird thing to think about, but when you don't have what's known as a glass ceiling working at a corporate job, I can decide next year to make double the money if I want to, right? I can set that goal. I can't set that goal at my old job because I can't go to my boss and be like, can I get a raise? I would like twice as much money. He said no, but as a self-employed person, I can make that goal and then start figuring out how to get there. There's no glass ceiling. That's the best part about being self-employed. The downside is, of course, the hours and anxiety. Woo!
And figuring out where to spend your time.
Yeah, where you should best spend your time. That is hard to figure out. Max Money AWA says, what camera do you suggest for aspiring YouTubers? Whichever camera you have. If that's your phone, use that. If you have a DSLR, use that. That's what I have when I got started. That's what I still use. Whatever camera you have. The best camera is the one you have with you. I believe Chase Jarvis said that. Scorpion in the chat says, if you have a friend with a laser cutter, they're probably not using it all hours of the day. Yes, make friends with a laser cutter. Cool. Let's see here.
Train Otaku got bingo.
Yes!
That's
Woo! Was laser cutter the thing that sent you over?
Yep. It's good stuff.
And Hey Patch is in the chat. He does all his videos with his phone. You can even edit them too. Very good. And Evil Ted Smith works 17 hours a day. I don't doubt it, Ted. All right, one more question. How important were your friends and family support when starting? The only one that really mattered is sitting right there, and she supported me all the way. She's awesome. My parents barely understood it, and they still don't. My brother and his wife were really cool, but they didn't live here at the time. But so the only one that mattered really was her.
It was this one.
Oh, look out.
This is the only one that mattered, right?
That's right. Okay, cool. That is it for today. We went a little long, but you guys sent some really, really fantastic questions. Thank you so much. Hopefully we were able to help you out. Hopefully some of you guys had questions you couldn't think of and other people thought of them and we covered them. I feel like we covered a lot of stuff today. And that's it. That is going to end it for today's episode of Prop Live Q&A. Thanks so much for hanging out. You guys are awesome.
Bye, guys.
We'll see you all in the next one.